Hello, everyone. I am Laurel Starks, the CEO and founder of the Alumni Institute, and I am so excited to have one of the industry's greats and a person who's been a personal mentor to me, Brandon Mulrenin. He is a real estate legend and veteran, and he is the CEO and founder of Reverse Selling. Brandon started in the real estate industry. He started on the loan side. He was a mortgage officer for Quicken Loans. He is out of Detroit. And then he decided to go into the real estate business. And he got to the point where with one admin and one sales agent, he was listing over 100 homes a year. He has tested and tried in his own sort of petri dish of a business and perfected this whole approach to selling that is frankly something that I can personally relate to. And it's something that he has created an amazing culture around with his reverse selling coaching business. So I'm excited to get inside the mind of Brandon and understand a little bit more about what makes him tick and what makes his program tick. And he's going to share with us some of the tips and tricks that you all can, and myself included, can put into action today that is going to help us get more business in this highly competitive world. So welcome, Brandon.
Laurel, thank you so much for the great introduction. You really know how to make somebody feel good. So I am happy to be here. And we love working with you and your team and right back at you. I mean, the value you give to our industry is amazing. So thank you. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So let's start, Brandon. So you got into, what did you do before you got into real estate?
Yeah, I was in the mortgage business, just kind of like you outlined. So I started in the mortgage business when I was 19. So pretty much right out of high school. I mean, I worked somewhere else for a year, but then I got into the mortgage business when I was 19 years old. And I was a kid. I mean, you're a kid at 19, and I'm doing $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $800,000 mortgages. I didn't even know what a mortgage was, right? And so I learned a lot. I really learned a lot. I grew up very fast. I was around billionaires, at 19 years old, having mentors that have grown massively, wildly successful organizations and great leaders and great sales training at a very young age. And so I was lucky to start my career off that way. And I owe a lot of credit to that company that I say to everybody really raised me right when it comes to the art and science of selling and leadership.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that is something that mentors are everything. And what I love about your story is that not only did mentors raise you, so to speak, but you've taken what you've learned, how they've poured into you, and you're paying it forward and giving back. And you're such a mentor to so many people. And for those of you who maybe, don't realize, Brandon, he is one of our number one supporters at the Alumni Institute. And when we get people from your program, Brandon, who contact us and who say that they're interested in enlisting in our program, we know immediately that they're the leaders of the pack. We know immediately that our values are aligned. We know that they've been well poured into, so to speak. And so what you're doing is really your legacy, and it is transforming the lives and the futures and the trajectory of other agents. So that's amazing. So you got into the mortgage business, then you decided real estate was better, and you got into real estate, and then walk us through what led you to developing your own technique. And then I really want to get into your technique.
Yeah, absolutely. So I met my wife at Quicken Loans. And so we both looked at each other and said, well, probably doesn't make sense for us both to be in mortgages if we're going to make this thing work, which we did. We're married now and we've got 3 beautiful daughters. And so we didn't want to put all of our eggs in one basket. However, we kind of did. I got into the business during the financial crisis of 07, 08, and what a great time to get started in real estate, right? Yeah, right. And so mortgages, it was insane. I mean, mortgage business dried up. Real estate was very difficult. That's when I got really started. But the thing is, Laurel, when I was in the mortgage business, when I was at Quicken Loans, it was normal. It was normal day for me to have 5, 6, 7 hours of actual talk time on the phone every day.
Wow.
And that was the minimum expectation. I mean, we had 19, 20, 21-year-olds making $500,000 a year. We were making more than brain surgeons, right out of high school. And it was through 2 things. It was through massive action and phenomenal skills. These 2 things combined was a winning formula. And, that is how Quicken Loans today, where they're now Rocket Mortgage, is the #1 mortgage company in the world, bigger than Bank of America, bigger than Wells Fargo, bigger than all these companies that have been around for 100, 150 years. They were able to do it in 30. And so I took those same principles into real estate. And so when I got started, and it was so funny, my first month in real estate, I took 20 listings. And everyone was like, how in the world is this kid doing this? And I started to look around like, is this not normal? Is this not normal? Because I just got into the business and I started picking up the phone and doing what I knew how to do, which is, that's what sales is. Sales is prospecting, generating new business, new opportunities, new relationships. And if you don't, Laurel, as you know, your days in this business is very, very limited.
Yeah.
And so right out of the gate, I started doing 100 contacts a day. And so for anybody who understands what that takes, it's usually about 6 or 7 hours of outbound phone calls, which led me to, success fairly quickly. Now, once that occurred and I realized what I now know, like that 90% of the people that get into this great industry of real estate don't make it. It's because their unwillingness to accept that real estate is an actual business. And when it's an actual business, there are principles that have stand the test of time that must be true for any business to make it. Real estate, if we opened up a Jimmy John's franchise, a restaurant, it wouldn't matter. And those principles are very, very simple. We have to have a way to get new clients in the door. We have to provide a valuable offer. So those people that come in the door actually take us up on what it is that we offer. And then we have to be able to deliver on our service in a way that those people turn around, tell people about us so that we can grow our business long-term. Well, when we look at the real estate industry, I just walked you through the 4 channels that I coach to: lead generation, lead conversion, client service, and then our database in generating repeat and referral business. When we look at those 4 verticals in most real estate agents' businesses, they score themselves an F in all of them. And so it's like, well, wait a minute, this is where we need to focus. What are we doing to generate new opportunities? Where are your skills to convert those opportunities? When you get a client, Laurel, can you deliver on the promises that you promise? And then is that service so good that when you sit at the closing table, your clients are wowed and they tell everybody about you?
I absolutely love that. And to just chunk it down and to make it basically that simple. But then, like you said, they're vertical, right? So it's really 4 things, but you go deep on all 4. So let me ask you this, because I know that our listeners are dying to know. When you got 20 listings and you were making 100 contacts a day, were those FSBOs, expireds? Who were you calling?
Yeah. So it's the same 5 pillars of business that I coach to and I focus on today. Number 1 is what I hope to talk about maybe in the show if we have time. It's what I call the top 100 or your sphere of influence, right? And so everything in our business has to start from this foundation. And most agents just feel weird. They feel awkward. I don't want to feel salesy. I don't want to communicate with those people. But number one, it's the people that we know. Then number two is what I call referral partners. I turned this business from a B2C business model into a B2B business model, which is what led me to you. So my second pillar of business was divorce attorneys, probate attorneys, estate attorneys, CPAs, financial planners, insurance agents. Because here's what I learned very, very early on. For the most part, Laurel, realtors are the hunted, meaning we have every mortgage company in town, every title company in town, all the home warranty companies, home inspectors. They're coming after us. Why? Because we have their clients. Well, we can flip that model around, right? There's a lot of people that work with the clients that we want to work with, as you know, like a divorce attorney. So I call those RPs, or referral partners. So that's my second pillar of business.
Love it.
Then the third pillar of business is what I call hand raisers. These are the expired listings, old expired listings for sale by owners, for rent by owners. These are homeowners, as you know, in the market saying, hey, I'm selling my house. I need a good agent, right? So those are the easy ones. Number 4 are absentee owners. So these are people that have rental properties that are constantly buying and selling based on the market fluctuation. And then number 5 are downsizers. So these are people that have big equity positions that when they come of retirement age, what do? They sell the home that they have all this equity in. They downsize to a single family ranch style property after the kids are gone. Happens like clockwork. These 5 pillars of business is what I call a market-proof business model.
I love it.
It doesn't matter what the market's doing because all 5 of those pillars serve you regardless of what interest rates are doing, regardless of the real estate market. So those are the sources of business that we still work to this day.
I love it. So that's what you did when you first started, and that's what landed you 20 listings in your first month, because you were relentless about like what they taught you over at Quicken, which is take massive action.
Yeah.
With skills. When you have skills and you take massive action, you're unstoppable.
You're unstoppable. And it's a simple concept. But yeah, I mean, agents just have a tough time accepting that. Like the amount of action they take.
Complicate it,
oh,
right?
Everything.
Yeah. Okay. So then how long did you work in where real estate was your primary business?
I mean, up until, a year and a half ago, it was,
okay.
And so for a long, long time. And so, over a decade. And so, and I built, and through those years, like you said at the intro, I've tried many different things. I did the KW mega team. I did that. I had what I call now, which is my attorney doctor model, where we're able to generate a lot of sales off of a 2 or 3 person team. And so we follow the same model as an attorney does, the same model as a doctor does.
What's can unpack. That?
Yeah. So yeah, let's unpack that. So we take the same approach as those professions, and we brought that into this industry. And so what we do is it's all built. So most teams, when people hear team in real estate, what they think of are these huge mega teams with all these buyer agents, and the team leader has their credit card out buying leads for these people that they don't know how to convert. That's what they think about when they think about a team. To me, a team, what a real proper team is somebody who is building leverage through their own sales business. And here's what I mean by that. So you have a rainmaker who's generating a lot of business out there, building relationships like we talked about, generating a lot of business. At some point in time, that person's going to have to hire some type of administrative staff if they want to keep growing their business. So this person has a full-time admin. At some point, the buyers, as we all know, take so much time. So it's having a full-time buyer partner that's taking on all the buyer leads that you're generating from your listing-based business. And then the 4th person on this team is somebody to spend all their time on top of funnel conversations to bring them into the pipeline. So we call them an ISA. And then lastly, this last person on the team is our client experience specialist. So this is the person that's taking the contracts to closing and giving an amazing client experience. And so I built this in a way where I just go to a listing appointment do what I do, call it brain surgery, do my surgery, bring it back to my team of nurses. My team of nurses do everything, and I show up at the closing like a hero. And this builds in great leverage. Everyone has their singular focus, and we're able to generate 100 transactions a year with 5 people, where a lot of people are doing 100 transactions with 20 people, right? And it's very low profit, very high ego, right? Because we want all of our name on it, everything and all that stuff. So that's what I mean by the doctor lawyer type practice.
Because when you think about it, and when you think about a doctor, you really only see them for a sliver of time. I mean, it's really everyone else that is around that is doing everything that they're doing. I remember when I went in and got LASIK surgery, and the doctor that advertised, I got him off of a radio ad. And here in Southern California, this guy was like, you know, his brand had built him up like he was the Messiah.
Right.
And you walk, you know, you call up, you make the appointment, they send you the pre-intake, whatever it is, you go in, you meet with the staff, they usher you into a room, they do all these types of things. I literally saw that doctor who did my LASIK. I saw him for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. It was even somebody who had already, I don't want to get graphic, but they had already done.
They prepped you. They prepped everything. They prepped everything.
Right. And then he came in, did his thing, and that was it. And so, and very similar to attorneys in court. I mean, you know, you're dealing with the staff a lot of times, and really you see your lawyer when you go to court, and you may have a couple of other conversations with them, but it's typically the staff. So I love that you drew that analogy. And like you said, that's the leverage that is going to A, be highly profitable, and B, that is going to allow you to scale. Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, and we're taking our highest skill, which in real estate, it's our duty to our client to present and have a strategy that serves them at the highest level.
Right.
That is, nobody can do that better than me, right? So nobody's touching my patient's brain or eye. I'm going to touch the eye. It might only be 4 minutes, to your point, but that is the thing that my patient, my client, needs me to be the best at. And it's why they're willing to pay me a premium for that. And all of the other things that my clients don't need me to do, I can have my staff do that, quite frankly, they do better than me. They could take the temperature much better than I can, right? And so they could put a listing in the MLS much better than I can. They can deal with the lenders and the client experience. They can do all of that better than Brandon, you know? And so we're disserving our clients sometimes because, you know, as realtors, especially new ones, we have this control issue. Like, we have to do everything. And if we don't do it, no one's going to do it, and no one can do it better than me. And so that keeps agents small-minded. They're not able to grow their business. So
I love that. And we work very, very similarly. So let me ask you this, switching gears just a little bit, what exactly is reverse selling? And what I mean by that is, what is the approach that reverse selling takes versus, you know, traditional selling? Yeah. I'll tell you. So traditional selling is a process of trying to convince somebody to do something. In other words, traditional selling suggests that you would go and meet with a potential client. You would get on stage, you would do this dog and pony show, and that client or that prospect would have all of the power, and they would determine whether or not they are going to do business with you. And they fully expected you to try to convince them, to pressure them, to apply objection handlers and, you know, pull out all these magic tricks. They fully expect that. And the salesperson fully expects them to push back. And it's this process of going back and forth. It's like putting 2 magnets, Laurel, on its opposite side, right? And trying to put them together, and they keep going like this, right? It's a nasty, nasty process. Reverse selling takes the principles of social economics and behavioral psychology, in addition with the Socratic Method, and we understand first how people make decisions, and then we base our sales approach off of how people make decisions. And so, in other words, reverse selling is a process of understanding what somebody's true desired outcome is,
And when there's a fit, and only is when there's a fit, do we make a recommendation without the pitch, without convincing, without any of that. Quite frankly, to take it a step further, the prospect in our reverse selling methodology does all of the selling. We stay out of the way. And so that would give you a good foundation for what it is and how it works.
So for those who are Googling Socratic Method because they tuned out when they were in the 11th grade, can you define what that is? Because that's a key pivotal piece to reverse selling.
Yeah, I'll give you. Yeah, absolutely. So again,
give an example.
Yeah, I'll give you a total example. And so top litigators are the best at the Socratic Method in the attorney space that you and I both live in. They're the best at it in the world. And so they get paid millions and millions of dollars to use it. And so here's a great example in real estate. What most real estate agents will do at a listing appointment is they will try to convince and sell the seller on pricing their property at a certain price. And they'll try to do the convincing. And in many cases, as you know, the seller will push back and try to list it higher, right? This like this battle between agent and seller. What they're doing is they're initiating something called psychological reactance. And so what happens in the brain is anytime we tell somebody not to do something, they want to do it. You tell the kid not to touch the stove, and what do they do every time? They want to touch the stove. And so what the Socratic Method teaches us is that what we have to do is ask a question in a certain way to have people come up with their own ideas. And when it's their own idea, they'll act on that idea. So as an example, if I'm talking to a seller, instead of trying to convince Laurel, the seller, to price the property at the price that I want them to, I might ask them a Socratic style question like, Laurel, what do you think would occur if we listed at a price that caused your home to sit on the market for 37 days when all the other homes sell in 7 days? What do you think has occurred? Now, I just sit back and I listen. Mm-hmm. And the seller then says, well, Brandon, yeah, we're probably priced a little too high and we'll probably get lowball offers. We might even go stale on the market. And now that person is selling me for the first time in history. We've changed the dynamic between salesperson and prospect, where the prospect is doing all of the selling. And again, we can just ask good questions to get people to their own answers.
I kind of call that, I mean, that's really selling 2.0. This is high level sales. The ones that have the scripts that just read out of the script book that are like what you described, the magnet dynamic, which I love. That's kind of entry level sales, if we're being honest. And one of my friends says the problem with scripts is that the other person doesn't know their line. That's right. And so I love that. And it gets into something. It reminds me of a conversation I had yesterday. We got a call that came into the office, and it was from a client who his attorney had given him 3 names. And that's what happens in the lawyer space a lot of times is they give 3 names. So his lawyer gave him 3 names. He's calling the 3 realtors to, figure out which one he's going to use. And he said to Kimberly, who answers my phone, he said, I'm only interested in commission. Just tell me what her commission is because I'm not paying 6%. So if it's 6%, just tell me right now and I'll move on. And so she said, well, let me set up a call with you and da, 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 da. So we get on the phone and I knew, which is helpful, what their objection is. So when we got on the phone, I said, it's a pleasure speaking with you. How can I help you? And then he goes on and on and on about his whole story and this and that and whatever. And so then we just got into this dialogue and I explained how, I understand his plight, like he's in a sucky situation and stuff. So anyway, by the end of the call, he said to me, he goes, I'm going to call my lawyer and tell him that I want to move forward with you. He goes, you know what? I fully expected you to have an agenda that you were pushing, and you didn't have an agenda. And I trust you. So I really appreciate your time. And it's interesting because the commission thing didn't even come up. Yeah. And so when you switch the dynamic like that to them, like you said, they sell themselves. It's So much more powerful.
Let me unpack some stuff that happened in that interaction to go further on the reverse selling methodology. And I talk a lot about this in my book, Reverse Selling. And what happened there is something that it's one of our reverse selling rules, which is nothing is as it seems. Prospects owe us nothing. And so what that whole, I don't want to pay 6%, that whole thing you just kind of outlined is the natural way in which prospects deal with salespeople, right? It's natural resistance towards salespeople. And what happens is there's something called the value ladder that I teach. And that is exactly what you did. Value is only measured in the eyes of the beholder. And so it's not that people don't want to pay whatever they think they don't want to pay. It's until the value is delivered, do they determine if something is valuable, regardless of the price. In other words, we teach our clients, Laurel, all the time on how to handle that commission objection. And by the end of what we teach our clients to do, the sellers oftentimes want to pay our clients more money than 6%. Mm-hmm. And the way in which we have that conversation and how it serves the consumer at the highest level by them discovering it on their own through a series of Socratic questions.
Yeah. I mean, how many times do you see a Mercedes ad that says you can drive a Mercedes for $249 a month?
Yeah.
And then you go into the dealership and you're walking out with a $900 car payment.
That's right. That's right.
So anyway, okay. So with reverse selling, so you start out in the mortgage industry, you learned skills and you learned to take massive action. You got into the real estate industry, you applied that, you killed it. And then about a year and a half ago, you packaged everything you learned and you put it into a course, a curriculum, and a program to serve the real estate industry so that realtors who don't necessarily connect or relate to the typical, if you will, script sales, opposing magnet, that's going to be my new term for it, the opposing magnet method. Yeah. You put that together to teach and train realtors in a different way. So walk me through a little bit about reverse selling. So let's just say I'm like, you know what, I'm listening to this and I'm going, God, I don't want to have to call FSBOs and expireds with my script and get hung up on and cussed out anymore. I want to learn another way. So then I would go to your website. What's the entry point, and tell me the paths that you take people down. Yeah.
So thank you for that. Yeah. I mean, so I launched my first course 8 years ago, and it was focused specifically on for sale by owners. And what happened was, because of the quick success, what happens was, the brokers and all the, look at this guy. And so I ended up actually coaching the broker that I worked for, and I ended up teaching everybody at my brokerage. And so, I got all the same questions all the time. So I put that in a course, and we've been coaching agents now for the last five or so years. And so, people can go to reverseselling.com and learn more about what it is that we do. We've got, different offerings, if you will. We've got courses and we've got group coaching, and I'm doing one-on-one coaching now again, which is in high demand because we have over 4,000 clients now that we help all around the country. And those 4,000 clients are like, when are you going to do one-on-one? When are you going to do one-on-one? And so we started doing that again. So the whole premise around what it is that we teach agents to do, to your point, is first and foremost, is we have to reframe their mindset of what it means to actually be in real estate sales. Because what they think it is and what it actually is, there's a lot of self-limiting beliefs around the negative connotation about being in sales. Mm-hmm. So we talked about the methodology of old traditional selling, but think about all the people that find themselves in a sales position that have that same mindset. Like, I don't want it, just feels yucky to sell. Yeah. And so there's a lot of rewiring to do. So I put people through a lot of neural linguistics when they first start working with us in our mindset training. And so they go through that first and foremost, because here's what we know about mindset. Mindset is responsible for how we feel. How we feel is all responsible for the actions that we take or we don't take. So we first rewire the minds of our clients.
It all starts there.
It all starts there.
And so is that a video? I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, yeah, go ahead. No, yeah.
Is that a video? Is that a video course? Do you do live online? How long does that take?
All of the above. So just our mindset training alone is about 6.5, 7 hours of curriculum-based online training. And then in addition to going through some exercises that I put them through on a path of self-discovery. So they go pretty deep. And it's a really big awareness for people. We talk about your old character and creating your new character and the science behind that and how you can rewire your mindset moving forward. So that's step one. And then we get into kind of the 4 pillars that we talked about at the beginning of the show, which is we create a skill set that allows people to generate primarily listing-based business. I mean, that's what we're really focused on, is helping our clients, Laurel, build a listing foundational business, and then building that model that we talked about with the doctor, lawyer to leverage themselves because they're taking so many listings. So we teach them mindset, skill set, the actions to take. We break down the business plan. We give them all of the strategies and tactics to go out into the marketplace and communicate from a place of service, a place of reciprocity, a place that really attracts the prospects to want to work with them because the messaging is so different that most people aren't used to. And we teach our clients how to lower that psychological reactance.
And I think it's so beneficial because as we all know, when we talk about in the real estate industry, we've got such a low barrier to entry.
That's right.
I mean, you can be anything from a stay-at-home mom that has decided you want to pick up some extra cash, you want to pay for your remodel. So you're going to list a few homes a year, and that's plenty of money to do that. We've got people who have just gotten out of cosmetology school, people who were doctors who said, this sucks. I want to get into real estate, right?
Yeah.
We've got the gamut. And that's why I love hearing people's background, what they did in their previous life. You're very rare. Most of the time, this is a second career or third.
100%. Yeah, you're exactly right.
So what I think is what's so valuable about that is that you've got people from such a smattering of backgrounds, and you really give people a guide. I mean, a step by step. Here's exactly how you build that business. And I was in the airline industry. I was a flight attendant. I hated selling. Right. I hated selling liquor off the liquor cart. It meant I had more paperwork to do. When I flew international, I hated doing duty free. In fact, I used to walk through the cabin when everybody was asleep. And I'd be like, duty free? Anybody? Duty free? Because I hated selling.
Right.
And so then I got into the real estate industry, and what am I? I am exactly what I, didn't want to be. So
that's right.
So anyway, that's I love your approach, and you do it you don't just leave people hanging like, here's how you convert leads. No, you give them an entire business model and a system. Because like you said, I mean, you practice what you preach. Like you said, how a lot of people fail because they get the business, but then they don't have the back end to serve the business. So it's just sort of like, leads coming into a sieve. So, okay. So then people go on to your website. You've got a book, Reverse Selling. Congratulations. Writing a book is a massive feat. Yeah. So would you say that's a good place to start as well?
Yeah, absolutely. They can find it on Amazon, Laurel. They can get the audio version off of our website if they want.
Love it.
And yeah, it really goes deep on the 23 rules of reverse selling and then the 18 reverse selling skills. So it takes both of these worlds, right? And then it walks them through literally step by step on how to use these in the business, because I think a lot of people giving information out there is like pie in the sky type stuff. I think people need the true tactical things that are working in today's business. And so, yeah, that's a good place for people to start.
Awesome. One little hack. When I read books, what I do is I get the audio and I get either the paper copy or the Kindle, either one. And so I put in my Audible and I set it at 2x, so it goes twice as fast, and then I read it.
Love it.
And I'm able to get through books like twice as fast, and then my retention is so much higher because I'm reading and listening at the same time. So there, I just doubled your sales for you. So get the Audible and get the print book.
There you go.
Okay, and then they can go onto your website, and then you've got all the different courses. And then once they've gone through your courses, like you said, you've got some group coaching, so there's support there for people.
Yep.
And then you've also got now one-on-one coaching. Is that with you, or is that with? Do you have coaches that coach to your system?
No, I don't. And right now, and I'll at least give myself a little bit of insurance to change my mind later. But right now, I don't have any interest in building the number one coaching company. I don't want to do any of that. I want to get my clients results. That's all I care about. I don't need the accolades. I don't want to have all these coaches muddling the message so that we can create revenue. I think it's a very, very very big responsibility for somebody to invest in themselves through what it is that you teach, and we take that very seriously. And so I'm it. I do all of our education, and so whether that be in our group or our one-on-one, I work with our clients personally, just like the doctor, right? Just like the doctor, you do not want the secretary cutting your head open when you need brain surgery. And so I've taken that same approach in our coaching business. We've got a whole team on our coaching business, but I'm the only one delivering what it is that I believe help the clients get the results they're after, which is a very sustainable, practical approach to generating consistent income that serves their family for their entire career.
I love it. 2 closing questions. Number 1 is, who was the biggest mentor in business that you've had?
I mean, probably Darren Hardy for me. And so for those of you not familiar, probably made one of the biggest impacts in my life. And so a lot of you probably might know him through his book, The Compound Effect. Mm-hmm. But just through doing many things with him and his company, huge impact that he's made in my life.
Good to know. And secondly, what is the one thing that you would tell our audience that they should do to change their trajectory today?
Yeah. As it relates to life or real estate. Well, I'll give it. It doesn't matter. This will serve both. Watch this. There's something that Darren taught me that will really serve your community, Laurel, at a very high level. And this is called the pain pleasure pendulum. And here's how it works. As we go through life, we're looking for evidence that what we're doing is either leading us to our goals or leading us away from those goals. And the only evidence that we have with removing the emotion is whether or not we are in our comfort zone or if we're in pain. And here's the thing about the pendulum. We can only push the pendulum on the side of pain to come back on its equal side for success. In other words, look at working out or fitness or relationships. When you pay the price on the pain side, you wake up early, you go to the gym, you eat healthy, you make your calls, you go to the business networking events. That only can come back on its equal side on success. But here's what happens, and here's what we know. Most people only put themselves in a little bit of pain, so they only experience a little bit of pleasure. And so what we have to look at is when things are uncomfortable, when we're in situations that we are unfamiliar with, that is the only evidence that we have that we're doing the right thing. And when things are cozy and comfortable, that's the only evidence that we have that suggests we are not on the path of growth, that we aren't getting closer to our goals. And so you can bring this pain pendulum to everyday life and ask yourself the question, was that easy to do? Probably wasn't stretching myself very much. Probably not going to get great results because I wasn't pushing myself. And so I think about this on a daily basis. And so, practically it's parking the car and walking into Starbucks instead of going through the drive-through. It's going to that business meeting that makes you so uncomfortable where you get the little red blotches because that leads you to growth. And so I think if the audience can think about that as they move forward with their life, I think it'll be a big impact for them.
Boom. Love that. It is a pleasure to know you, my friend. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Very, very much.
Thanks for
I got a lot
me.
out of today. All right. Thank you.
You got it. Talk to you soon, Laurel. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.